Hello, Light Menders. How do you navigate the challenges of parenting a kid, teenager, or adult child who struggles with mental illness? Mended Light. Well, folks, this is an Ask Me Anything. We reached out to our Mended Light community and asked for your questions about parenting, your toughest questions. And you responded. This is actually one of a series of videos, but today we're going to be talking about parenting when your child wrestles with mental illness. So without any further ado, I'm going to start answering your questions. My nephew has autism, ADHD, and PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance. If there is any advice you could give, especially in relation to the PDA, I would be most grateful. Okay, let's break this down. And for those who don't understand pathological demand avoidance, I will dive deep on that in just a second. But let's talk about parenting an ADHD child, because we've got one. I was one. I still am one. Children by nature they have a lot of energy, and hyperactivity and difficulty focusing. It's all part and parcel of the child experience. Their brains are still developing. Their bodies are compact little balls of just like... With ADHD children, you take what a lot of children experience and a lot of parents experience and you dial it up, right? That's what that experience is like. They can have a hard time paying attention. They can have a hard time remembering or retaining things, especially instructions that are more than a few steps. Their brain goes somewhere else involuntarily because you say something and that word makes them think of this, which makes them think of that, and pretty soon they're 10 steps away. And when they finally respond to you, it feels like they're talking about something completely different. Getting them to sit still, I'm literally thinking of an interaction I had with my son the other day in the car, where just getting him to stay still in his seatbelt while we were driving was just... So the first thing to recognize when you are parenting a child with ADHD is it's often discussed as something negative, and you fear that they're going to be at a disadvantage at functioning in the world. The truth is that people with ADHD have different brain wiring. It's an alternate, it's not an aberration. There's nothing wrong with them. In fact, they are more likely to succeed in certain fields far more than other people. In the arts and creativity, air traffic controller, therapists. I know a lot of therapists with ADHD because every 50 minutes we've got a new challenge, right? Every hour we've got somebody new coming through the door and we can reset and we don't have to focus too long on just one thing. So that's the first thing to recognize. The second thing, of course, is you still do want them to be able to focus and to be able to not be climbing all over the walls, because it's important to learn task management. It's important to learn, period, and to prepare for adulthood and for life. So yes, some people have found great success with medication. There's also, with our son, we've got him drinking Celsius. The caffeinated drink, not Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and Coke are all mixed in with high fructose corn syrup and a lot of processed sugars, but the caffeine actually helps his brain to focus. So he's got different supplements that he takes, or we have him drink Celsius sometimes, and it helps him to sharpen up. And consulting a dietitian or a nutritionist. For certain children, certain foods contribute to their off-the-wall energy or struggle with focusing, and other foods help them hone it in. And so there's very practical physical solutions for that. But when it comes to your parenting, or in this case, your nephew, don't treat him like he's broken. Don't treat him like there's something wrong with him. Treat him like he's unique, or he's part of a subset of people with a very particular set of skills, to borrow from Taken, right? That he's a subset of people who are going to thrive in certain fields, and emphasize that it's just about channeling. And then buckle up for repetition. You're going to need to repeat yourself a lot. And if you take it personally, you're going to get agitated and frustrated and angry with them, and they're going to respond and react to that energy. And it's going to make it even harder for them to focus because they're going to feel a lot of pressure. Repeat with patience and calmness. And if you're tired of repeating or you just want a good strategy, ask questions. So instead of saying, you're supposed to be cleaning your room right now, hey, what are we doing right now? Right? So that the answer comes from them. Get them thinking. When it comes to autism or pathological demand avoidance, I'm going to speak a little bit up to the edge of what I know and what I've studied, But I am going to refer you to a specialist in those fields in child psychology to help with that. But with pathological demand avoidance, it is an almost obsession with saying no, with defying anything that they're asked to do or told to do, to the point of outbursts sometimes, right? And just really exploding. So what do you do with that? First of all, cut yourself as aunt or uncle, or if you're talking to the parents, cut yourselves some slack. This is a taxing situation. Doesn't mean the child is bad, doesn't mean the child is broken. It just means it's a taxing situation. To have someone who defies you consistently and aggressively is tiring, and it wears on your patience. The most important thing is to help this child feel like they have as much choice in their life as you can. Telling them what to do is going to increase their resistance. I mean, that's true of human nature, period. People don't like to be told what to do, and they resist it. Even more so here. You've got two choices. You can do A or B. Here are the consequences or privileges that go with A. Here are the consequences or privileges that go with B. And then let them choose. Don't try and make them do something. Let them have free will and then just follow through on the consequences so that they learn to make healthier choices. The more you can buttress and facilitate them deciding, the less resistance you're going to get. You just shape the path. Beyond that, I would refer you to a child psychologist who specializes in autism and PDA. Trying to support them through a mental health struggle, but not wanting to enable them at the same time. I don't want to create a learned helplessness situation. I'm not a parent myself, but I have parents who are dealing with this. So it sounds like you're speaking of your sibling and your parents don't know what to do. And the biggest thing that I would say is addressing the fear of the person, right? Your sibling. This learned helplessness situation comes down to, I'm afraid that I can't handle it. And by it, I mean life. And all the millions of little decisions or trials or difficulties or struggles that come with life. And I really just want to be taken care of. There's a fear there of inadequacy. There's a fear there of being unable to manage. So there is no enabling and acknowledgement. Let me say that again. There is no enabling and acknowledgement. Telling somebody that it's all in their head, telling somebody to toughen up, telling somebody to suck it up, telling somebody just to deal with it. These are things we say to people when we don't have the patience or the selflessness to be present for them. Can it just go away? If you could just toughen up, that would be great.
That's not how it works.
When we say that, people don't feel heard, they don't feel understood, and they don't feel like they can open up to us. And someone struggling with depression or anxiety or mental illness, if you tell them just to stop it, I mean, that's like that Bob Newhart sketch, right? Like, just make it go away, just toughen up, just stop it.
All right. Well, what other problems would you like to address?
I'm bulimic. I stick my fingers down my throat.
Stop it! What else?
Well, I have self-destructive relationships with men.
Stop it!
It doesn't work. People change and they grow when they feel like they're believed in. People change and they grow when you acknowledge this is a heavy burden. And I don't know what it's like personally to be weighed down by depression, to be crippled by anxiety, but I know it's not weakness. And I know you didn't ask for it. And I know it's what you struggle with every single day. And a lot of times you feel like the people around you don't get it and just want it to go away. I'm sorry. That really sucks. We need to figure out practical solutions because even though it sucks and you didn't ask for it, we still got a deal. And expecting us to make the choices for you, to do the things for you, makes you feel more dependent and more powerless. So what we'd like to do is, at your pace and along with you, help you step into greater capacity, greater understanding of how things work, greater understanding of your responsibilities, greater understanding of how to make decisions. And when you lack understanding of something, how to educate yourself so that you can do it. Take the scariness out of it as much as you can by being affirming, by being understanding, and helping them to create a plan. And then when they try and fall back on you and expect you to carry them, you can nudge them back out onto the stage and say, no, this is going to have to be you. The more afraid of this you are, the bigger it gets in your mind and the more power you give it. So it's time to face it, but we're here for you.
You are not alone.
How to support a teen who suffers from depression and doesn't want to accept help because they don't want to seem different. It impacts school and relationships with family, and it's so hard to watch and not be able to fix it. First of all, I'm going to say something that's going to sound a little hopeless, but then I'm going to buoy you back up with something that is practical and helpful. But in order to enjoy the second thing I'm going to say, you have to accept the first. You can't help people against their will. You can't force people to change. You can't force people to fix it. People change when they're ready. What you can do is facilitate readiness. You can't push them. You can't make it happen. But you can help open doors. You can help remove barriers. And the way you remove barriers in this situation is by, I wouldn't even say no one's going to think differently of you, or you're not going to be different, or or everybody already sees it. Everybody already sees that you're depressed and struggling with school. So what are you hiding from? Get help, right? All these things make people feel more ashamed. All these things make them feel like, yeah, I am a loser and everybody already sees it. You know what helps? Acknowledging that you struggle too, and that they're not the same. Don't say your struggles are the same as yours, but say something like, listen, I know it's apples to oranges. I know what you're going through is not what I've gone through, but I do want to share with you something that I've been through that I think might be helpful. And talk about a time in your life when you couldn't do something alone and you asked for help. And by asking for help, things got better. You built a relationship. People respected you for your humility and for your vulnerability. Share something like that. Because what you're saying is it's okay to ask for help. And you're showing them that you don't see yourself as up here and them down here, that you're on the same level ground. And if, as I'm saying this, you can't think of a time where you needed help and you asked for help, you probably shouldn't be encouraging this person to get help. Because odds are they learned by watching you to stubbornly refuse or not ask for help and to try and figure things out on their own. You have to model it. And when you model it, it feels safe for them to join you there because nobody's saying you're lesser. You're saying we're all the same. So those are my thoughts. This has been Parenting Kids with Mental Health Struggles. What other parenting questions would you like me to answer about this or any other subtopic? Do you parent a child who struggles with mental health? What has helped you to help them and to deal with your situation in a healthy way? What advice do you have to share or experience do you have to share with our community? And if you haven't figured it out yet, what have you figured out doesn't work, right? Let us know in the comments below. If you're enjoying this, I've got an entire video series on parenting, which you can enjoy right here. Until next time, folks, keep shining because we need your light.